Hey, so I jumped into that $10,000 thrift flip challenge you see online, and in my first week, buyers paid almost $300 for my stuff. But after all the fees and costs, the cash in my pocket is back at zero. This is the real breakdown of what that actually looks like and why I'm doing this when I'm pretty much starting from nothing. I've been having a really hard time lately. No job, no income, just kind of stuck. After months of looking for work, I saw a video about this challenge where you start with next to nothing and try to build it up by reselling. I have the time, so I figured I'd try it. This is me starting that. My first week, I didn't spend any money. I just looked around my own house for things I don't use. I found a few things, listed them on eBay, and to my surprise, they sold. I want to walk you through what each one sold for, what the buyer actually paid, and what I actually made after eBay's fees. The difference is the whole story. Let's go one by one. First, the Kate Spade polished New York City snow globe shoes. I listed them for $70, which is a steal. The buyer paid $84.39. After all of eBay's fees and the shipping label, what I actually made was $42.07. Next, vintage LL Bean wool coat, new with tags. I listed it for $93.99. The buyer paid $121.05. After fees, my take home was $60.98. The Natura dress, also new with tags, I listed it for $29.99. The buyer paid $39.92. After fees and the shipping label, I was left with $15.98. And you'll see on that one, there was a $3 charity donation. I'll come back to that in a second. So from just selling those three things from my house, the profit that hit my account was $118.03. With that money, I decided to reinvest. I went to Goodwill and a church thrift store. I spent about $106 on my first batch of thrift store inventory. Now, the first thing I managed to sell from that new thrift store pile was a Sundance top. I listed it for $42. The buyer paid $53.57. After fees, I made $26.62 from that sale. So let's look at the totals for the whole week from both my house and that first thrift run. I asked for about $236 in total list price across all four items. The buyers actually paid a total of almost $299. eBay's cut, all the fees and shipping labels, was over $153. What actually landed in my account was $145.65 total profit. But then there were other costs: gas for the car to do all the running around, shipping supplies, tape, mailers. When I factored all that in, along with the $106 I spent on new inventory, the cash in my pocket right now is basically back at zero. That's the reality check. All of that money from the sales, from the hustle, it all got sunk right back into the process, into inventory, into fees, into gas to get there. So I am still cash strapped. In fact, if you've been following along, you know I've had to go to a food pantry just to keep myself fed. And to top it off, my car started overheating yesterday. That's just the honest truth of where I'm at, which brings me back to that $3 donation. Even while I'm in this spot, I've made a decision for this project. Purchasing from me shouldn't just help me. I don't want to be the only one on the receiving end of something good. So for the rest of December, I've set it up so that 10% of every sales profit goes to World Central Kitchen. They're an organization that gets hot meals to people in disaster zones and crisis areas. I am toying with the idea of rotating the charities on a monthly basis. But taking my own issues into consideration, this is the charity I felt most led to donate to. It's a small thing, but it feels important. I believe that the more you do for others, the more the universe does for you. And if this is going to be part of the Functional Human Project, then part of being a functional human is looking beyond our own struggle and seeing the needs of someone else. So here's the practical plan moving forward. The smartest thing I did was start at home, where there's way less risk, especially with my car acting up. Before I spend more cash at the thrift store, I'm gonna look around my house. I'm gonna look again just to see if there's more things I could list. That would be pure profit with no upfront cost. The goal is to build up a little bit of a cash cushion. And hey, if you're curious or want to support this in any way, I'll pop a link to my eBay store down in the description. You can see what I've got listed so far. Or even better, you can check back and see what I list in the future. And if you see anything you like, seriously, don't be afraid to shoot me an offer. Everything is negotiable. I'll probably also put buy me a coffee link down there if you feel inclined to just help out directly. That would mean the world. But no pressure at all. Anyways, back to the challenge. So that's the raw math on my first week. But here's how I'm choosing to see it. Even though the cash is at zero, I'm not back at the start. Last week, I had no plan and a closet of stuff I wasn't using. Now I have a plan, I have some purpose, and I have all of this new inventory. I turned things I didn't need into new potential. So the cash reset to zero, but my progress actually didn't. The $10,000 is the long-term idea. Right now, though, the goal is to sell the rest of this inventory. Find more things at home to add to my shop, and make sure every sale does at least a little bit of good for someone else too. One step at a time. Thanks for listening, and I will keep you posted. Bye.